People, deluded. If you're not going to take anything away from my videos, people, make sure you download the OneFootball app. It's a terrific application developed by the guys over at the OneFootball Network. Make sure you visit my description for more of that. If you don't want to do that, go on the OneFootball Network website. It's a terrific application, people. I can't just say that enough, and I'm not just saying that for the sake of it. Why I like it? It allows me to stay on top of every bit of information there is in regards to football. It doesn't matter if it's transfer speculation, results, fixtures, manager talking points, player talking points. They have everything covered, and the sheer velocity and in-depth of some of the content, you can't put a price on it, people. The one big feature I like out of everything, when it comes to transfers, they've got it on top. They tell you exactly where the rumour or the information was first brought out, more or less. And it tells you how the strength of the rumour. And it also tells you what that could mean for the team moving forward with fellow supporting articles. It is the #1 application for the general football fan. And in fact, not even the general football fan, the honest football fan. The fan that really loves football. If you really love football, you'll download the OneFootball app, people. Because for me, it is the best on the market. Like I said, link is in the description. Visit their website. Link is in the description. Link is in the description. Link is in the description. People, I don't want you lot to do yourself a disservice, and you lot are the real followers because you follow me. Make sure you download the OneFootball app. People, deluded, I'm out.
People, deluded, I'm back again, your favourite YouTuber in my lunch break. It's a London day. It's a very nice day in London, so I thought videos have to get back. Now, I played myself, people. I'm never going to lie to you. I thought I'll come to my usual spot. It's a nice day and things like that. I mean, I got sunglasses on and that. I thought I would have a seat. I played myself, people. I look over there. Like, there's no seats. It's a nice day. Everyone wants to be about. I still don't even know what I'm going to get for lunch. I'm feeling like a burrito. Feeling like getting a twister or something from Tesco's or something for after as well. I feel it's a good day, man. It's a good day, but we might as well crack on with some of the questions. As you know, Sado got some notes that I printed off at work, and we might as well speak about them. Admittedly, I should have made sure I took them out my pocket before I started this video, because it is quite difficult doing this with one hand. And as usual, people, thank you very much for the questions. As usual, thank you very much for tuning back in and them things there. It's appreciated. But let's crack on with certain things first. Apparently, Arsenal are ready to renew their interest in Yannick Carrasco. Apparently, this is all coming out of the Sun. I mean, he's still someone that strikes you as someone that wants to get out of his situation in China. He's probably earned enough financial rewards to put on for his family and future generations. And it's time to get back and play football in Europe. I know he still gets called up. Him and Witsel still get called up in the Belgian team, regardless of playing in China or not. That'd probably be different for some other nationalities. But he's probably found his hunger again, and he wants to try and win major honours in Europe, or just come back to Europe for family reasons and whatnot. Because I mean, the China thing, again, players probably feel settled, but I don't get the vibe that players feel completely settled in China. It's just a money thing. We're going there to make money and put on for, I mean, you think footballers earn money now. Imagine with the China wages what you can do, not just for yourself and immediate family, but creating some intergenerational wealth or whatever it is. So obviously people can call them money grabbers and things, but at the end of the day, I would take a pay rise. You would. You think I like my job, but you think I want to be running all around central London doing nonsense? I will take that. So it is what it is. Now, I don't think we're going to go back for him. Again, it could happen. He seems to be pimping himself out to anyone who will listen to him and whatnot. We all know allegedly he's apparently on taking a pay cut to his 175 a week wages, apparently. Do we go for him? Who knows? We were interested in him previously. Is it something we go for? Obviously, you've seen Mkhitaryan in the Iwobi League. 2 players potentially could play on the flanks. Yes, we've got Saka, Nelson, Martinelli, these young players there. But is there a possibility of potentially adding someone for a cut price fee, someone who's only 25 or something like that? And that's a good addition for the squad. I mean, it feels like, because of him going to China and whatnot, it does feel like he's damaged goods, like he's a has-been and things like that. But he's 25 years of age. He's not old at all, people. If we did have to bring a winger in, it would be Zaha for me, but I think that's nonsense. On the topic of Zaha, apparently he's split with his agent at USM. Now, could that be as a result of not being able to secure a move from Palace, whether that was to Arsenal or wherever, any other club? Because he signed a new deal last year at Palace, and many people say it was silly to sign that new deal. But at the end of the day, it was put in front of him. We all know
these new deals and things, it happens with a lot of players that leave. You're not going to turn down the money. Of course, it makes anyone that wants to buy him's negotiating hands weaker, because Palace have him tied down and don't want to sell him anyways, like you saw this season. And they didn't want to do the structure payment thing. So maybe he's upset that his agent didn't do his job, in which, if I want to move, you need to go and get it done. Like, it doesn't matter how, but you need to get it done. Could this be a signal of intent that he's going to get an agent that's probably more aggressive and more forces his hand, sort of thing? You look at who's Oxlade-Chamberlain and Raheem Sterling's agent. That guy, man, he's very good at his job. He knows what his clients want. Obviously, I'm not really with agent world, but does he go with Mendes? Does he go with Mino Raiola, who gets his players moves and decent money wherever? And Mino would have got him his move to Arsenal, potentially elsewhere. Is he gearing up for January? Okay, well, I'll remain professional for 6 months. At Palace, which Palace run the risk of, if he's out of form in January, they probably won't get as much money. But it's in his best interest to keep playing well and keep people interested in him. And Hodgson's obviously been speaking about how his mentality's been nice, how he's carried on and whatnot. I would take Zaha. Funny enough, I think we're still going to go for him. Obviously, I would like us to look at other areas, and we've signed Pepe, we've got Nelson, a couple other young G's here and there and about the squad which we've spoken about. But I would take Zaha to complement the side. 26 years of age. For me, it's Lacazette, Aubameyang and Pepe, but potentially, could you add Zaha to that mix? 2 wingers, him and Pepe, Aubameyang, Pepe and Zaha, or whatever. It just gives us more sort of, apologies for the noise, but let's wait. Yeah, that must be a mad conversation, but that will give us richer options to play with. You could even go with a 4-4-2, Pepe on the right, Zaha on the left, and the 2 boys up front. Of course, our pivot and our defence would have to work 10 times as harder, because that's an attack-heavy team. But yeah, obviously, I'd more want us. It's funny because we've signed another summer, we've signed another centre half, and I'm still screaming, let's bring in a centre half. But I would not turn down Zaha and then some other wingers, but I would more like us try and look at potentially getting up on Makano or someone like that over the line. For me, box-to-box midfielder, someone that can play in a pivot with Torreira, things like that. There'd be the other areas. Potentially looking at right back, someone to compete with Bellerin or to step in, because Maitland-Niles has done his thing, but it would be nice to have an out-and-out right back to compete with Bellerin, to bring the best out of both of them, because that's what competition does if you're an alpha athlete of sorts. So moving on from that, Emre's had some comments, and he said, I saw these comments a while ago, well, a couple of days ago, but he said, we are getting young players and giving them chances to do one more step with us, getting that performance in the way we demand. I think the young players and also the experienced players we have, plus we've signed many new players, I think we are building a very important squad with different characteristics from the players. We're also very demanding in our objectives. Every player is very important for me. The new players, the young players, the players who have been with us for a lot of time. Really, we have a good mix of everybody and take care to create a new ambition. Apologies people, the wind's blowing. A new motivation, and also to create our way with them. We can be really excited about some players, but I also want to have the same level of excitement as we have for Pepe, for example, for Ceballos, for Luiz, for Martinelli, as well as Reece Nelson, with Willock, Emil Smith-Rowe, and also with the players who were working with us last year, like Ozil, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Bellerin, Holding, Leno. Everyone. We can be excited about every player. Now, obviously, Emre's still adapting to the language, and he's communicated himself very well, but what I took from that is I don't think he necessarily means the word exciting. Obviously, he means be excited about the squad, the potential, the young players, the combinations we can line up with. But I think what he means by that is have faith in every member of the squad and things like that. And for me, that's what we need. I always say this in my vids. We've cleared out the decks now. There are some players in and around the squad that are not needed at this club, but everybody's going to be counted on, and regardless if they need to go or they're young or whatever, it's a good vote of confidence. Obviously, regardless of Emre saying that some players know where they stand. Are they regulars? Are they not used? Are they not used frequently? Are they young players trying to get a foot in and have to remain patient? But it's nice to hear that, because that's someone that shows you when your time comes, he won't have any hesitation of playing you. You've got your full confidence, and he believes in you, and that's, for me, that's good for the young players that have been name dropped. Willock, we'll get onto it, but Willock signed a new deal. It's come out today. Nelson's obviously in the first team, and he's talked him up. Emil's had a hard time with injuries, and probably what stopped him out of going on loan this season or featuring at Arsenal early on in this campaign. We've obviously got Saka, who I believe he's just turned 18. Surely he's going to sign a new deal soon. So it's nice to hear. I mean, even someone like Mustafi knows where he stands with Emre. Emre does not want to play him. I don't want to see Mustafi played. But reality is, you never know what could happen. 38 Premier League games alone, however many much you play in the Europa League and all the other domestic competitions and continental competitions, injuries are a thing. People will be needed. So even someone like Mustafi, I mean, like I said, Emre told you where you stand. You're not in the match day in any capacity. Chambers is taking your place on the bench, but your time might come, and it's nice to know that the manager has some sort of faith in you. Don't see me say Mustafi and think DG's got faith in it. You get the point in it. It's nice to know, because we're going to need all our squad. Emre, he's probably not got everybody out of the squad he wants, but he's definitely got a better squad to work with than last season. Players that were here last year have got some good qualities, and it's about bringing it to another level. This year and last year, some young players have come on. We've got Aubameyang and Lacazette arguably in the best sort of periods, respectively, in their careers now. We've got Pepe, who's still young, he's what, 24, but in the next 2 years or so, you'd like to see a purple patch from him. So it's exciting times of sorts, people. Joel Willock's apparently signed a new deal today as well, people. Big up Joel Willock, 20 years of age, made 20 appearances for Arsenal, had a strong start to pre-season life here and a strong start to the season before obviously injury robbed him of the chance potentially against playing against Spurs, and it's nice to see he's back and things. And I like Willock, man. I think Willock's an exciting player, but I feel some players that come through the academy, they've got to be competent squad players, they've got to be mavericks, and some players got to be utility men. For me, Joel Willock is a player who can be a competent member of this squad. For me, he's one of the first names on the team sheet until he goes through loss of form, because I believe shirts are earned. He was unlucky with the injury, but I really like him. If you didn't know anything about football and you didn't look in his face, you wouldn't know he's 19 at the time, but 20 years of age. He's taken to it. I like how he does the basics, right? I like how he's definitely, what shocks me is he was very creative as an academy player, and he relishes the dark side, tracking back and things. It's obviously about bringing him up to greater consistency and greater standards, but it's nice because at the end of the day, I'd like to think he's a £10 million player now. In the next season, he could become a £20 plus player. And long term, he could save us some money. I still would bring in a midfielder, but you get it. You look at it's completely different. But how much money has Trent Arnold saved Liverpool just by coming through as a fullback? That's about probably 40 to 60 million, people. So we need players like that. If we can develop the Nelsons, the Joels, the Emils, the Tyrese, John Jules, the Sakas, the Amichis, it's good for us. Of course, not every player is going to make it, but if they, first and foremost, they're given every opportunity to elevate into the first team, that's great, and it's down to them to take the chance. Obviously, you want to play players to make us money and things like that. So I'm happy for Joe. He deserves it, man. Until he plays poorly, his first name in the team sheet for me, man. One of them, sorry. Really impressed with his mentality, really impressed with how he's taken to it, held his own against Liverpool and that, and credit to Emre for having the faith to play in him, and he's giving Emre confidence that when he's back he can play him, because yeah, he's still not, I wouldn't define him as a senior player because of his age, and he's only made 20 appearances for the club. He's still got a lot of developing to do. He's nowhere near 100 career appearances. But for me, I define him somewhat as an experienced player because I've got full faith in him, whether I play him in the Ramsey role or in the pivot, that he's going to do his job. Not to name drop Xhaka in this or anything, but I've got more faith in Joe Willock right now. And he, compared to Xhaka, regardless of what you speak about the players, Xhaka's played at top European professional competitions versus Joe, who's just done it in his youth. He's a captain of Switzerland, captain of Arsenal unofficially. And I've got more confidence in Joe, really. And when I speak about Joe, for me anyways, I know fans will get on their back, man. Joe's already had it. Everybody's singing Joe Willock's praises now, but they were getting on to him a year ago against Newcastle, a year before that. For me, these young players will frustrate, will go through tough periods, but like I said, not to name Xhaka, but Xhaka, I haven't got patience for Xhaka really, because he's 25, 26. I've got patience for Joe because there's a player in there. Obviously, you've got to learn from your mistakes, but the Joes, the Guendouzi's, the Sakas, the Nelsons, Martinellis, people big these players up and they fail to understand these are young players. They're going to be exciting one week, poor the next week. They're still trying to get consistency. If you add up Reece Nelson, Joe, Saka, and all these young G's I've just said, their appearances, collectively, they're probably just about touching 100 collectively career appearances in the game. So think about that individually, people. It's a tough ask, isn't it? It's a tough order, really and truly. So they're still developing. I just hope people stay with them and whatnot. Yeah, big up, man. That's a lovely conversation you're having. But nice on Joe and that to sign a new deal, man. And like I said, I think Saka should be the next one. Apologies, people. My hand is dying. What else have we got? Allegedly, Aubameyang wants to join Real Madrid again, and he's spoken to Ceballos and Ozil about life in Spain. I mean, would that be a weird conversation? I mean, players have played for Real Madrid. You don't think these players are going to have normal conversations? What was it like at Madrid? Why did you leave, etc.? I don't think it's easy to invent this story because of Aubameyang's contract is up in 2021. Because of, apologies, oh shit.
Thank you very much, man. Apologies, people. Because of obviously his contract in 2021 and things like that, and he's in alleged negotiations with the club. We've heard Aubameyang's contract is actually a priority of the clubs to get it renewed and things like that. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is agent talk, if this is just people inventing stories, if this could even be the club putting out feelers, because you've got to remember when it comes to negotiations, these are the little things that happen. I'm confident as confident can be about Aubameyang signing a new deal. He's comfortable in London. He's of that age now where obviously if Madrid asks for me, if I'm him, I'd go, but you don't really want to force it. Stability is a good thing. The question is he needs to get another quality contract. Obviously we don't have to pay over the odds, but he needs to get a good financially rewardable contract, whether that's in clauses or what, because he's 30. You're not going to get really much money, really and truly. I hate to speak about money, but that's the reality of it, people. It's a job, and he's almost, in football terms, he's got to think about his football pension, because he's 30, 31, however old. There's not many left, unless he was to go to China. If Madrid asks for him, I think he would go, and he'd be a fool really to turn that down, because it's Madrid. If Madrid, Barcelona, them teams there ask for me, I can't lie, people, you've got to go. But I'm confident Aubameyang stays, and that's nothing more than nonsense. Dani Ceballos has been speaking. He's obviously been in Spanish international duty, so we might as well speak about his piece, people. He said in relation to life at Arsenal and whatnot, I love the city, I love the Premier League, I love Arsenal. He says, I'm just really happy to be part of this great club. I've hardly noticed any difference between the size of Arsenal and Madrid. The fans are very passionate. They love players. It's much easier to adapt because they make you feel like you've been at this club forever. I love the way everyone's treated me. They put a lot of faith in me. Then obviously Zidane didn't have much faith in you. Bro, you know, come on, man. I know you, as about you watch Deluded and the rest of the Arsenal fans, man. Come on, stay then. We love you. Stay at the club then. You get it. Stay, bro. Stay, bro. Don't. I know you want to make it at Madrid, and I'll back you to it, and that's your end goal if you can help us for this year, but stay, bro. I mean, you're getting no love at Madrid. I do think the Madrid one's a sticky one, because Zidane clearly knows he's got ability but doesn't rate him like that. People within the hierarchy and the boardroom and the politics at Madrid clearly know that he's a young player with potential, and there's obviously a risk of losing out on a player that could step up for Madrid, or potentially losing out on a lot of money potentially, really and truly. We know he's barely played since he's joined Madrid, as it would be. It's tough for players to join Madrid even when they're in the best of form, as you see people in the top of their game, much less a teenager, which he was at the time. Yeah, he's won the Champions League technically and all the other honours, but he hasn't been a main part of it. And it is what it is. And I remember seeing him and Asensio just bully, but they bullied almost any youth tournament from 17s up to 21s, 19s in particular, when it was him and Asensio in that tournament. And was it the Under-20 World Cup or the Under-20 Euros? It was one of them, because Gab Jesus was playing. A couple of them Serbian lads that have moved and found better clubs were playing as well. So it's nice. He's also spoke about how he joined Seville at 8 and he was released at 13 and went at 17 to go Betis. And during that trial he was taken off early, which is interesting, people. In his first season at Madrid he only played 16% of games. And that led to him talking on the radio, in which he told Marca, this interview's in The Guardian, by the way, people. He said, there comes a time when you see it's impossible. There were times when Kroos and Modric were injured, and Zidane obviously, changed the system to put other players in. He admitted that had Zidane stayed, he would have left, but apparently Zidane walked. 6 months later, obviously similar to Watford's Flores, you've seen Zidane come back through the door and he's gone out on loan. Now Zidane, obviously there's question marks from what I'm seeing in regards to Madrid. People are having question marks of Zidane since he's come back already. So if Zidane does leave and a new manager comes in, of course his first priority is to make it at Arsenal. But if Zidane stays, and I mean it carries on like this, and he doesn't, and he has a good season for Arsenal, and obviously Zidane still doesn't bring him, then he's probably got to look at his options, to which I hope, saying that Arsenal fans have taken to you and whatnot, that you stay here. Reality is, if a bidding war happens, there's a couple reputable clubs that would probably get involved in him, people. So it is what it is. He said, you have to be realistic. The 2 good games I've had so far for Arsenal, I've never had in 2 years at Madrid. I didn't play a lot, but it's also true that when I played, I didn't play as I can. That relates to confidence, but you have to be self-critical. So his confidence was shot, as you all would be, no matter how strong mentally you are. If you're playing for a manager who doesn't necessarily believe in you or want to play you, subconsciously, no matter how good you believe you are, you will start to doubt yourself, people, and you will play with that handbrake. In that, obviously, he said Emre knows him and their fellow Spanishman. He's giving him the confidence to express himself. So while he's being self-critical, he's acknowledging the psychological external factors that really and truly are out of his control, people, I guess, to a degree. carrying on, he said, I've never seen anything like what I saw at Anfield. I haven't seen a team that plays better, that presses like them, the way the fans carry along. So he's somewhat, I mean, everyone says that against Liverpool, and it's Liverpool's a big club with big fans and a big atmosphere. You saw Barcelona bottle it at Anfield. So it's right, people, and he probably thought to a degree people was talking worse about the Premier League and the whole, you know, people say the Premier League and the excitement and the fans, you got to be up for it. He probably believed it to a degree, but he's seen it, and it was a good introduction having Spurs and Liverpool in recent weeks, because obviously Newcastle is great, where he came off the bench, and starting against Burnley is cool, and that showed him education for different purposes, especially Newcastle. They're passionate fans, but there's nothing that can prepare you for a top 6 clash, especially when obviously Liverpool been beating us up for recent years, but historically Arsenal and Liverpool have had some good bouts and it's gone the either way. Arsenal versus Spurs is somewhat self-explanatory. He's gone on to say, they take the air from you, you spend so much time defending, and when you do something with the ball, when you want to breathe, they're back on top of you. They're very well drilled. Obviously, I've paraphrased just the relevant bits that I've deemed people, but he's also gone and said, we've got a very good compact side. The 3 up front really make the difference. You can compare Aubameyang to Cristiano Ronaldo when he was at Madrid, because he plays that close to goal. He lives for scoring. He's very important for us. He's fundamental, sorry. Pepe is very direct, and Lacazette for me is the best player. He understands the game perfectly, and he's 100%. And if he's 100%, he's going to give us so much. So we know Lacazette. I do think someone like Lacazette should be getting 20 league goals, people. You lot know me, I support Lacazette. He's a bad boy, assists, big games, technical quality, bringing other players into the game, like you've seen with Ceballos. He's one of the best at that, and as he develops, gets a bit older, he could potentially become a 10 or whatever. And I think Lacazette, he's very good. He brings the best out in Aubameyang, but I do think Lacazette should get 20 league goals. He's good enough to do it, people. If you're a top man, you have to do that. That's just me adding my own parts in, but it's nice to see him. Obviously he's not comparing Aubameyang directly to Ronaldo and saying he's as good. He's in terms of wanting goals and seeking goals and the movement and things like that and all of these sort of things. Obviously a bit of this is a bit PR, people. Obviously the bit about Arsenal and Madrid, there's not much different. As much as I love Arsenal, people, let's be honest, it's Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid. Come on now, like there's levels. But he's then gone on to say, he's spoken about Emre, and he said, fitting all the players together must heat up the manager's head. I don't think Mr. repeated a starting 11 in the last 4 games, which keeps us on our toes and alert. Against Spurs, it fell to me to come from the bench, and I understood my role. Emre knows me well, and he wants me to show my personality, my desire to learn. I'm still young, I'm passionate about football. I can play as a 10 or an 8, but I feel the responsibility of leading, of wanting the ball in difficult moments, not hiding, getting the team playing. That's what separates the really good players. It's about saying, I'm here when the team needs you. And that's what I want to see. That's what you want to see from Ceballos, but that's what I want to see. And that's what I like from this season, because look at the additions, people. Regardless of your opinions on David Luiz, he's brave on the ball. Pepe is showing his bravery for all these alleged frustrations. He's on taking men on. Ceballos, he wants the ball. He just said it. He wants it in difficult situations, and we've seen it so far. We need bravery on the ball, especially if we're going to play out from the back, especially if we're going to play, if you're going to play for Arsenal Football Club, and especially if we want to aspire to get back to that level that we previously wanted to get to, people, to get. So it's going to be tough. It's not the easiest of things, people, but it's lovely to hear him say that, because I miss the bravery. Apologies, the wind's being an enemy of progress, people. But here we go. He said, I try to play happy. The way... Apologies, people. Let me grip this up properly. Sorry, people. You don't know me. I can't control any of the noise or things blowing away, and it's apologies. But we try to bring out some content when we can. But cracking on, he said, I try to play happy. That way to bring the best out of yourself is to enjoy what you do. We're a team that wants the ball, so I feel comfortable. The second half of the season is when people will see my best. So obviously it's a long season, and you got to give players about 6 months to adapt. He's still adapting to the way of life in London. He spoke and alluded in this interview about how he's comfortable in London, how it's things to do. He joked about how the weather's been okay now, but in February it could be a bit long. But it's lovely to see. We've got to give him time. I think it's very much a Premier League and an English thing to write players off after 6 months, really, and it's a joke, people. He said, I'm a player who tries to get to the opposition and make the difference. He then said a translation in Spanish. I can't say that. Disequilibrio, I can't say that, people, but it means, translation is, it means to unbalance the game, tip the scales, and implies some undoing of tactics and formation and breaking free from a strategic straitjacket.
it's true that at times the desire to be near the ball gets the better of me and I can lose my position. I have a big margin for improvement. With experience, I can. Even though he clearly has faith in me, he was the one who called me and told me to come to Arsenal because I'll have a prominent role and I would like his idea of playing. And that's what he's got to develop, people. At the same time, you see a lot of players get that. Raheem Sterling went for it. He wanted the ball and wanted to show how flashy he was, but it's not necessarily the most devastating of play. I made a video, it's completely irrelevant, but Marcus Rashford, for example, people. Marcus Rashford's he needs to be worked on up front, but you look at his play, he's all over the place. He works the flanks, he works wherever. That's good, but at the same time, are you in areas where you can affect the game? As a midfielder, you've got to find balance between dropping deep for a reason, to either make a pass that you've seen happen 30 minutes before in your head, or to unsettle the opposition, or are you just being youthful impatience and just getting onto the team, trying to get onto the ball? Because I can also it's lovely that I love it that Ceballos drops deep and he's all over the pitch floating to want the ball. We need that at Arsenal. We've been missing that. But the same flip scales of that is sometimes that can harm you tactically, people. If Ceballos might have a job but he's vacating it and he's allowing, because of that, where it's a mismatch in midfield and the opposition's allowed to do other things. So he's not the perfect player. I believe he's perfect for us, but he's not the perfect player in that what he wants to be going forward in the future. So it's lovely to see he's got ambitions and he's not resting on his laurels, because Arsenal's a big club, but I mean, Madrid and Arsenal, there's levels. He's playing in Europa League. He could have easily just dropped off and said, you know what, I'm just going to be here because Emre likes me, it's a decent year, I'll just see out this year and then go back to Madrid, hopefully Zidane gets sacked. But no, he wants to use this as an example to prove world football, everyone in Spain, everyone in the Premier League, everyone in Madrid, that he's a baller, and he wants to probably go back next season and leave Madrid's hierarchy and management scratching as to why Zidane or whoever sanctioned him going out on loan, people. Do you get it? He's obviously said he's been pleasantly surprised by Emre's work. When you have the coach's confidence, his work, it's much easier to perform. He said he wants to repay the manager's faith in a nutshell. And he's also, what I liked as well, is that he said, knowing the coach believes in you is 60% of it. Knowing that if you make a mistake, he'll back you. It's only been 4 weeks, so it's hard to say what I really think yet. But from what I've seen, it's the most competitive league in terms of quality and the physical side. It's the league with the highest standards and the biggest demands. I have to adapt. He also spoke about how he's only been watching TV in English titles. He's spoken about how his girlfriend, who's doing a teaching degree, as well as his mother, are going to move over with him. Hopefully they adapt to the London lifestyle. Hopefully she exploits her teaching degree and is able to find a job somewhere in London and do her talents and loves it. Hopefully, because you all know sometimes it's the wives that influence decisions, people. I've heard so many stories with agents of players that were about to sign for clubs, but they don't want to sign for clubs because their wife doesn't want to go there. I'm really trying to be careful with my views. I don't want anyone to say me I'm something, but there's one example without specifying it. Someone was about to move to a certain club and then they didn't because there was not lack of shopping options, and then they moved to London. Of course, not every female cares about shopping and whatnot, but you see how these things can play a part. And for me, I hope that she loves London and she's in his ear saying, yo, Ceballos, we got to stay here. Forget Madrid, let's stay. Because then that might help tip the balance on top of being confident and the manager having faith in you and the obvious people. So it's been a pleasure speaking and sitting here with you, but I've got to go and get my burrito now. I think I've been here for a minute. People, it's been a pleasure. DG, I'm out though. Thank you for watching. Get in the comments. I'm out.